The Menger Hotel, with its grand Victorian architecture and rich history, stands proudly next to the Alamo. Since opening its doors in 1859, it has hosted many notable figures and accumulated countless stories. But among the tales of grandeur and luxury lies a chilling ordeal from room 306, a room infamous for its spectral resident. In the late 1970s, a young woman named Claire checked into the Menger Hotel. She was traveling alone, hoping to soak in the history and beauty of San Antonio. After a day of sightseeing, she returned to her room 306, ready for a quiet evening. Claire was excited to be staying in such a historic place. The room was beautiful with antique furniture and a view of the courtyard. She felt like she had stepped back in time. The bed was an ornate four-poster with heavy drapes, and the wallpaper was a deep, rich color, patterned with delicate flowers. Everything about the room spoke of a different era, a time long gone. As night fell, Claire settled into bed with a book. The hotel was quiet, the only sound being the occasional creak of an old building settling. But as midnight approached, an unsettling feeling crept over her. The air grew colder, and an oppressive heaviness filled the room. Claire suddenly felt a chill. She pulled the blankets up, thinking it was just a draft. But then she noticed the room had become deathly silent, like the air was thick with tension. The usual sounds of the hotel, the hum of the air conditioning, the distant murmur of the other guests, were gone. Suddenly, Claire heard a soft shuffling sound coming from the hallway outside her door, like as if someone was dragging their feet. She listened intently, her heart pounding. The shuffling grew louder, and she realized it was coming closer. The noise stopped right outside her door. Claire's heart was racing. She was too scared to move or breathe. She just stared at the door, praying it was only another guest trying to find their own room. But then the doorknob began to turn slowly. It was deliberate, cautious movement of someone who didn't want to be heard. The door opened a crack, and Claire saw a shadowy figure standing in the doorway. It was a woman dressed in an old-fashioned maid's uniform, her face pale and expressionless. The figure stepped into her room, gliding silently across the floor. The light from the hallway barely illuminated her, casting an eerie glow on her translucent form. The ghostly maid just stared at Claire with empty eyes. Claire wanted to scream, but she was frozen with fear. The maid moved gracefully, like she wasn't even touching the ground. Her eyes were dark, sunken hollows, and her mouth moved as if she was trying to speak, but no sound came out of her mouth. The maid approached Claire's bed, her presence cold and foreboding. She reached out a translucent hand, and Claire felt an intense cold seeping into her bones. The maid's lips moved, but no sound came out, as if she was trapped in a silent scream. Claire could see every detail of the maid's uniform: the crisp white apron, the high-necked dress, but it was the eyes that haunted her the most. The maid lingered for what felt like an eternity before slowly retreating back to the door. Just as silently as she had entered, she slipped out of the room, leaving the door slightly open. The temperature in the room slowly returned to normal, but Claire was left shaking and unable to comprehend what she had just experienced. Claire stayed awake the rest of the night with the lights on, just waiting for morning. She couldn't explain it. It was like a nightmare had come to life. Every creak and shadow set her nerves on edge. She kept glancing at the door, expecting the ghostly maid to return. The next morning, Claire hurried to the front desk to check out. She nervously recounted her experience to the receptionist, who listened with an expression on her face showing that she knew exactly what Claire was talking about. The reception responded, "Ah, you must have met Sally. She's been with us for over a century, ever since she was tragically murdered by her husband. She's usually harmless. She's just a lost soul that seems to be looking for something she can never find." Intrigued and horrified, Claire spent some time researching Sally White, the maid whose spirit she had encountered. Sally had been a chambermaid at the Menger Hotel in the late 1800s. One fateful night, she was brutally attacked by her jealous husband in one of the hotel hallways. Despite being cared for in one of the rooms, she succumbed to her injuries a few days later. Knowing what had happened to Sally made Claire's experience even more chilling. Sally wasn't just a ghost. She was a woman who had suffered a terrible fate. It made Claire feel a strange mix of fear and sadness and pity for the woman. Claire left the Menger Hotel that day, her trip to San Antonio forever marked by the ghostly encounter. Room 306 remains a topic of fascination and fear, with many guests reporting similar experiences over the years. Sally's spirit continues to roam the halls, her presence a chilling reminder of the hotel's haunted past.